Hello everyone! Welcome back to Kabalaka TV. For today's session, we're going to discuss about subject-verb agreement. Today's lesson will help you construct grammatically correct sentences. If you think this video is for you, stay tuned to Kabalaka TV. This lesson is divided into two. The first one is the general rule for subject-verb agreement, and the second one is for the specific rules of subject-verb agreement. Some other books called agreement as concord. So in this title that I have here, we have the subject-verb concord. Let us have first the general rule for subject-verb agreement. Alright, so the general rule says if the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular. Whereas if the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. So when do we know that the subject is plural? You take notice that in pluralization of subjects or of nouns, we just add s. However, when we pluralize, for example, the verbs, specifically the present tense of the verb, then we have to take the s off the scenario. Say for example, we have the noun table, we just add s to form the plural form. So we have tables, all right? However, for verbs, we just have to kick off the letter S in order for us to have plural form of the verb. So for example, we have writes. The plural form of writes is write, okay? So you have there, without an S, the verb in the present form is plural. However, for nouns pluralization, specifically those nouns that are regular, for example, we just add s to make the nouns plural. So in the example, the cat chases the rat. Alright, the word cat there is our subject, which is singular in meaning or in number, and then the word chases is the verb that is also singular in number. So there, you have the singular subject and then you have the singular verb. Because in our general rule a while ago, we state that the singular subject takes the singular verb while the plural subject takes the plural verb. Is that clear? Now, if we are going to make that statement observing a plural subject and a plural verb, then we will be having this one. Alright? You have the cats chase the rats. So you have cats, plural in form, and the word chase is plural in form too. So we have the statement, the cats chase the rats. It is observing the general rule which says that when your subject is plural, you have here the word cats in plural form, your verb chase must be in plural form. So you are not going to add s because it would be a singular meaning or in number if you are going to add s. Now let's go to the specific rule. The first specific rule says that a phrase or clause between the subject and the verb does not change the number of the subject. To clarify this thing, we're gonna have an example. Alright? So we have here a can of beans sits on the table. So you have there of beans. Beans is in the plural form. However, our subject here is can. Therefore, our verb must be having an s, which is sits. So you have there a can of beans sits on the floor. Alright? So there. In this example, we have of beans as our phrase in between the subject and the verb. But that does not change the number of can. Still, the word can is singular. So what's the second example? We have here the women who went to the meeting were so pretty. So the clause that we have here in between the subject and the verb is who went the meeting. But this clause does not affect the number of the subject, which is women. And of course, our verb here is were. In other words, the subject women is not a regular noun because it does not follow the pluralization by just adding an S. So here we have a noun that is irregular because the singular form of women is woman. In pluralizing nouns, regular nouns for example, we just add S. However, in pluralizing nouns that are not regular, we have to memorize the conversion. So we have woman, singular, we have women, plural. I hope that's clear. The second specific rule for subject-verb agreement pertains to the indefinite pronouns. The first one is for singular indefinite pronouns, and the second one is for plural indefinite pronouns. When we have singular indefinite pronouns, what we're going to use as our verb is, of course, in singular number. Alright? So, say for example, the following indefinite pronouns. We have each, alright? We have either, neither, one, no one, nobody, anything, something, somebody, everybody, everything, and anybody are all examples of singular indefinite pronouns. Now, when you are going to use these singular indefinite pronouns, of course, you're going to use the singular form of the verb. For example, we have here a sentence, somebody has cried a river. So we have here the subject somebody and our verb phrase has cried. Take notice that the word has is in singular form. Alright, in the plural form for that, of course, the word have. Since we have the singular indefinite pronoun somebody, that's why we have here the word has. Alright, so there. Plural indefinite pronoun subjects, however, take plural verb. But you take notice that for every rule, there is always an exemption. So later on, we will know what are the exemptions. So what are the plural indefinite pronouns? We have the word several, we have the word many, we have the word few, and we have the word both. If you are going to use these words in your sentences, see to it that you are going to observe the plural form of the verb. Otherwise, there will be a problem in your grammatical construction. However, sometimes there are exemptions to the rule because sometimes definite pronouns take singular or plural verb. So when can an indefinite pronouns take a singular verb or plural verb? So what are the indefinite pronouns that can be either singular or plural? So we have some, any, we have all, none, and most. So you have to take note and you have to be careful in using these indefinite pronouns because sometimes they are singular, sometimes they are plural. Let us see. We have here an example. Some of the sugar are on the floor. So what do you think is the answer here? Is it is or are? You must be having your own reason why you're going to answer is and why you're going to answer are. Of course, the answer here is. Why is the answer? The reason behind why is the answer here because of the fact that sugar is an uncountable noun. When we say uncountable noun, it's a noun that cannot be counted. Alright? Unless we're going to put them, for example, in a container. Alright? Or in plastic or whatever container you have. So there. Some of the sugar is on the floor. Alright? So when can we use the word some as a plural form? So Sir Nello, do you have an example for the word some which is used as a plural form? Yes, we have an example for that. So we have here, some of the marbles are on the floor. Take notice that we have the word marbles. And marbles are countable nouns. When we say countable nouns, it can be counted. A while ago we have sugar is uncountable unless we are going to put those sugar, for example, in a container. For example, we have plastic, for example. So we have a kilo of sugar, alright? 1 kilo of sugar, 2 kilos of sugar. Then that's the time that we can count sugar, alright? However, if we are not going to put them in a container, for example, we can never count sugar because sugar is a noun that is uncountable. However, for marbles you can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marbles, for example. That's for singularity and plurality of indefinite pronouns. So if you forgot, for example, something, you just go back to my video and you will, you will be guided. The next specific rule pertains to compound subjects. Now, when subjects are combined together, we call them as compound subjects. Alright? So specifically, these subjects are joined by the word and. So for example, Jasmine and Sophia are my daughters. Alright? So we have Jasmine and Sophia. Compound subjects. So we have Jasmine and Sophia joined by the coordinating conjunction and. Alright? So we have the verb here is are because we have compound subjects. However, compound subjects joined by or and nor, the verb agrees with the subject similar to it. So you take notice when there are compound subjects joined by or and nor, you have to be alerted that you are going to go to the subject nearer to the verb. So for example, we have neither the student nor the teacher go to the park. So what do you think is the answer here? Is it go or goes? Alright? So you take notice we are going to find the subject nearer to the verb. We have the verb goes and go. So what's the subject near to the verb? We have the word teacher. So therefore, teacher is singular. So you are going to use singular from the verb. That's why the answer here is neither the student nor the teacher goes to the party. Alright? The next rule pertains to the inverted subjects. You take notice, however, that inverted subjects must agree with the verb. So, in other words, you go back to the general rule. Whatever the number of your subject must be the number of your verb also. In other words, when your subject is singular, your verb must also be singular, and when your subject is plural, your verb must also be plural. So let us see. Let us have one example here. Okay? So for example, we have here, waiter, there is a fly in my soup. So what do you think is the answer here? Of course, the answer here is because you have the subject fly. It's only inverted. Okay? Another example is, there is 4 flies in my soup. So what do you think is the answer here? Yes, you are right. The answer here is are because you have here 4 flies. So there are 4 flies. In English language, you should know that when it is more than one, it is considered as plural. So we have 1 singular, then 2 is considered as plural. The next specific rule pertains to the collective nouns. This is also confusing because sometimes collective nouns are singular in number. However, sometimes they are also plural in number. So what would be your hint, for example, if you're going to choose the right form of the verb? Your hint would be the meaning. So what are the examples of collective nouns? We have the word jury, we have the word family, we have the word crowd, we have the word team. But these are not the only collective nouns around the world. So for example, we are going to use the word jury. So we have here, the jury have awarded the custody to the grandmother. So what do you think is the answer here? Of course, take note of the hint that you're going to look for the meaning. If the meaning is plural in form, then you go to the plural form. However, if the meaning is in singular number, then you're going to go for the singular number. Alright? So the jury have awarded the custody to the grandmother. So what do you think is the answer here? Yes, you are right. The answer here is has, because the jury here indicates singularity. However, for example, we have here, the jury members has awarded the custody to the grandmother. Here our answer would be have, because the meaning of the word jury denotes plurality. Alright? Why plurality? We have the word members. The jury members, more than one, have awarded the custody to the grandmother. I hope you understand that. The next specific rule pertains to the titles. Alright? So for titles, say for example, titles of books, titles of organizations, names of countries, for example, whether they do have an S at the end, still they must be singular. For example, we have Philippines is our homeland. What do you think is the answer here? Of course, the answer here is because there's only one Philippines in the world. Okay? And the letter S here does not indicate plurality. Okay? So titles of books, for example, if you have books there at home, for example, then you're going to grab it now. Then you would construct a sentence using the title of your book. For example, you're going to say, Reading and Writing for Senior High School Students. That's the title of the book, is a book. So you are not going to say are a book because it's the title of the book. The same is true with the name of organizations. Okay, so for example, the Rotary Club of the Philippines, it's the title of an organization, right? And all the rest of organizations must be having a singular verb. The next specific rule that we're going to have pertains to the plural form subjects. Plural form subjects with singular meaning takes singular verb. So what are these plural form subjects that you know? So we have the word statistics, we have the word moms, we have the word measles, we have the word news. The sentence, for example, mumps are contagious. The answer here is not are because this subject moms is a plural form looking noun. Okay? The form is in plural, but then the meaning is singular, mumps. The same is true with statistics, mathematics, and so on. However, plural form subjects with singular or plural meaning take singular or plural verb depending on meaning. For example, we have politics. So I'll be giving you one example of the word politics here as a subject. The first one is politics is an interesting subject. So the answer here is, of course, it is. All right? It is an interesting subject. Politics is singular here. However, in this statement, politics of the situation were complicated. So the answer here is where, because the word politics here refers to the many aspects of the situation. There are also plural form subjects with plural meaning. For example, the word scissors, the word pens. These are all subjects with plural form, with plural meaning. In other words, you're going to take plural form of the verb. For example, we have here, the scissors are on the table. What do you think is the answer here based on the rule that we have a while ago? Of course, the answer here is are. Alright, so we call this scissors as plural form subject with plural meaning. Okay? The same is true with trousers and pants and some other plural form nouns with plural meanings. The next specific rule that we're going to have pertains to this. With one of those blank, who, alright? We have an example here, Camela is one of those people who likes to read books. Are we going to select likes or like? So the answer here is like, because not only Camela is fond of reading books but also other people. Okay? So there. What about for this example? Camela is the only one of those people who like to read books. So what do you think is the answer here? Alright, the answer is likes, because it is having a clear and definite meaning that it's only Camela who is fond of reading books. That's why we have here likes. The next specific rule pertains to the use of the number of and a number of. You take notice when you have the phrase, for example, as your subject, the number of, then you are going to go for the number, which is singular. So we have an example. The number of students are going to the city. So we have here, the answer is because of the phrasal combination. And that's the rule. We cannot really, amend the rule. So we can't really change that rule because it is the rule. So we have to follow the rule. Okay? Otherwise, our construction would be incorrect if we are going to say are, because the rule says that if you use phrasal combinations of this, just like the number of the students as your subject, then you must be having a singular form of the verb. Okay? Again, the number of is singular and a number of is plural. So for example, if we are having a number of students are going to the city. So we have here the answer for number 2 example is are because of the rule. The rule says so. We cannot go against the rule. So we have a number of students are going to the city. The last but not the least specific rule that we're going to have pertains to the word every and the combination of many a. Okay? So when you are going to use the word every and many a, then you have to take the singular form of the verb. For example, if we have every student and teacher participates in the teaching learning scenario. So what do you think is the answer here? The answer here is participates because of the word every. The same is true with the combination of words many a. For example, we have here many a child dream to be somebody in the future. So the answer here is dreams because of the phrase many a child. I hope you learned something from this discussion. Once again, I am your English language education teacher, Ronello G. Colomar. If you find this video helpful to you in your own education, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Kabalaka TV. Bye-bye!